Hey guys, it's PEJP here. A few of you might remember early on this year, I did a unboxing video of my FP Journe Chronometer Blue, which some of you seem to like. And sadly, that watch I moved it on because it was maybe a bit too fancy for me. So yeah, that made its way a couple of months after that. But I've always really liked these unboxing videos. I watch them sometimes on YouTube, and I just like sometimes it's good for summoning the courage to pull the trigger on a watch, and or sometimes it's just cool to see what you get from the from the package when you get a watch. Some people are really into the whole boxes and papers things with vintage watches. Some people aren't. Some people just don't really see it as a big deal. I do. I don't know why. I just think it's almost like a time capsule. I like the history behind them. So whenever I buy a vintage watch, I try my best to get boxes and papers. So I thought I'd show you my Rolex Submariner. This is the 5513 model. I got this a few years ago from a fairly prominent collector. He collects like vintage Rolex, vintage and modern Patek, like double red sea dwellers, Paul Newman's, just like everything he's got. And he wanted a Lecoultre Polaris from 1965, which he couldn't find. So he put a bounty on it to anyone that could find it. And I found it. I found it at a dealer in Florida who had one. So rather than take the bounty, I took a big discount on this, and I bought this from him. And this was my first, not my first mechanical watch, but this was my first like vintage. This was my first kind of serious watch. I had like an IWC Pilot Chrono before that, but this is like my kind of entry into the more serious end of watches. So yeah, so it's the 5513. This is the outer box. I like the pattern on it. Originally, I thought it was like the surface of the moon, but now I think it might be the maybe it's supposed to be like the seabed, because it's a diver's watch. But I'm not sure. I really like how small the box is. It's kind of understated. Like these days, boxes are just bigger and bigger. And I've got some watches where the box is just kind of ludicrous, like kind of unnecessarily big. Whereas this still has that kind of, it's a luxury watch, but it's still like seen as a tool watch, so it's not too extravagant. So yeah, outer box, which I'll remove here. I'll put up here. This is my table of where I have all my catalogues and books and stuff, and I kind of read, sit here, look out the window. So it's got the manual, the Rolex Submariner manual with a diver on the front, which is obviously very apt. It's got like the Submariner date. I guess it was the same manual no matter what the watch, because it's got all the different models available, including the Sea Dweller. So that's pretty cool. So I'll put that up here. Inside you've got the inner box, which I'll just take out. Put that up there. So yeah, you've got this kind of leather. It's not leather, but it kind of feels a bit like leather box, with the Rolex crown on there. Again, really understated and cool. Inside you've got the watch. Sits on this kind of felt thing. I'm just doing this with one hand because I'm filming on my iPhone, so I'll take the watch out. This is it, the 5513, no date sub. See if I can get that more in focus. Some people refer to this as the transitional because it has the old style acrylic crystal, plastic, but it still has the white gold hour markers. I don't know if that's correct calling it transitional. I'm not sure. Maybe Sea Badger or someone more knowledgeable will be able to answer this. But I was under the impression transitional was more like the 1680 or the 16750, like where they specifically gave it a different reference number. But some people call it transitional because it was like after 1984. They did this kind of mix of new style dial but old style crystal before it then got replaced by the next model. This one is in really good condition. I really love this watch. I don't wear it as much as I used to. I'm kind of not sure why. Maybe because it's in such good condition. I don't want to screw it up. But sometimes I take the bracelet off and put on a NATO strap, which is really easy to do because you've got open open-end links there. So I used my tool there down there, and it's really simple to take it out. So yeah, it's just a really great watch, really recognisable, probably the most recognisable watch in the world, I would say, in terms of luxury market. I mean, everyone knows what this is. So yeah, so that's the watch, which I'll just put down there. And then what have we got in the box? Got the felt thing, as I said earlier, where the watch sits on. We've got the hang tag, which I guess would have hung on the watch and had maybe the price or whatever when it was in the jeweler's window. Extra links, which, because despite being quite tall, I've got very thin wrists, so I kind of have to take a few links out and then use the micro adjuster. So yeah, that's that. I like the wooden box, which I think looks really cool. And inside you've got the document wallet, which I'll just tip out because I'm only using one hand. Now, what have we got in here? It was sold at Northern Goldsmiths Limited in Newcastle, so Geordie bought this one, presumably. I don't know if this jeweller still exists. I should look that up at some point. It's quite interesting. So we'll take that out. I've got the original guarantee certificate. Well, this isn't the guarantee certificate. Sorry, this is a translation of the guarantee in different languages. So there's like a little extra thing they provided there. Inside here, we've got a few more documents. You've got the original receipt. So the guy that bought this paid £594. He put a £200 deposit and paid £594, which and he did that in, looks like September of 1986. So I've got no idea if that's what that is adjusted for inflation, but I think it seems like pretty good value. So yeah, it's pretty, again, nothing, it's not going to make any difference, but I just think it's kind of cool to have this stuff. So I'll put that over there. And then the guarantee certificate. Obviously, it's way out of guarantee. If I took this to Rolex, they're not going to honour this guarantee because it's a few years later. But again, I just think it's kind of nice to have. So that was that. There's the unboxing of my 5513. I've got a couple of other vintage watches I could do, and a modern watch, maybe one or two modern watches, if you like this. So thanks for watching. Awooga.